Let's talk about this fight at a gas station in Detroit where two people end up pulling guns on another person. The fight starts inside the gas station where two men are arguing. The first guy aggressively moves toward the second guy. The second guy puts hands first, ends up pushing the guy away. They start fighting, start wrestling all around the store. Fight's over. Second guy walks out of the store with the first guy still there on the ground. Now that second guy, he comes back in the store and now he's got his gun. And now he's holding that first guy at gunpoint. And only a few moments later, the second man's wife comes in and she's got a gun. And so now we have the husband and wife holding this first guy at gunpoint. So we've got a lot of things going on here, and I'd like to break this down into three parts. So let's start by talking about the initial use of force. The first guy aggressively moved toward the second guy, and the second guy hit him first. I think in that situation, the second man was justified in using self-defense. A reasonable person could look at that situation and they could say there was aggressive dialogue beforehand, aggressive words were being exchanged. The first man aggressively moves toward the second man. So the second man would have been justified in what he did there, which was basically push him off, they start fighting. One of the things that's required for self-defense is an imminent threat. And so the idea is once that second guy had left the store, the first man was no longer a threat to him. So you couldn't justify using self-defense. So therefore, when he came back in the store, he had no reasonable belief that he needed to protect himself. And here's where the story gets even crazier. And that's when the second man's wife comes in, and now she has a gun, and now she's also holding that first guy at gunpoint. This case is a great example of use self-defense to protect another person at your own risk. And the risk you take anytime you're helping a third party is that you don't know the situation. And if the person you think is the victim ends up being the aggressor, well, now your actions can be considered reckless. They could be considered not justified. And now while you thought you were being the good guy, while you thought you were trying to help someone else, and you were legally in the clear, you in fact were committing a crime. So in summary, while this situation started off as justifiable self-defense, after the first man aggressively moved toward the second one, and the second guy fought him off, while it may have started with legitimate self-defense, the moment he left that store and the fight was over, his self-defense claim was over. And when he came back into the store, that is legally a new incident. And you can't use what happened before to try and claim that you're under some kind of threat, because you're putting yourself, or he was putting himself, in that situation. Likewise, when his wife came in with a gun, she was basically piggybacking on his legal or illegal use of self-defense. And in doing so, she's walking in there and pointing a gun at this first guy at her own risk, at her own peril, because she doesn't know what the situation is. So tell us what you think about third-party defense. Do you think the law should encourage us to help each other? Do you think the law should be narrower to discourage people from intervening in third-party? What side? Should we err on intervening or not intervening?